All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. We're joined here by Hitch once again, as always, and welcome back the winner of bets, Chad. He is finally back on the show. It's gambling time here in the sports world. Got college football back week one, so we're going to go through some gambling picks. Hopefully, it goes a lot better for me this year than it did last year. Got absolutely destroyed on anything that was not midweek or G5, but we're going to try to turn that around a little bit here. So, but before we get into all that, quick reminder, we're brought to y'all by Rhythm, the absolutely best sports handicapping app out there. Go and go download it. Try it for free when you sign up for 7 whole days. You can have Rhythm generate models for you specific to point totals or spread, money line, whatever you want. Or you can use all of their different factors and make some models of your own. I've done one of each. Started tracking them last week. Couple new models. They went a combined 8-1 last week. So off to a good start with those. Going to start putting them to use here during this week one show here. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. So, but y'all go check those, check Rhythm out. That's RITHMM. You can find them on the App Store or Google Play, whichever device you use. So y'all go check them out. That's a really good tool to have during this kind of season. So, Chad, welcome back, man. We've missed you. It's been a long time since you've been on, 6 months or so, I guess, whenever we stopped gambling online for everybody to see, at least. Not didn't quite cut it out altogether, right? But yeah, it's good to have you back, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could say the same. I didn't miss you two at all, but glad I could be here, win some money, and retain that crown that I worked so hard to win last year. So looking forward to taking another title.
Yeah, well, I didn't put up much of a fight against you there last year. Yeah, Hitch kind of battled you for a little bit there, but that was about it. Wasn't a whole lot of resistance on you last year.
No, he ran me down.
That's
what
the
it
big
was. Chad,
right? My prowess. My prowess is known around these circles for being able to pick.
He's got a sickness,
and you put the title in there for me, Dids. I appreciate that. Winner of bets. It was I didn't ask for it, but heavy is the head that wears the crown, right?
I mean, yeah. I actually didn't do anything. You actually did that, so fake news number one from Chad already. Didn't take him long. We were a full 2.5 minutes into the first episode.
To the winner goes the spoils.
That's right.
That's true.
Congratulations.
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
all right. Well, so that's kind of it's going to be a little bit different this year. We did 5 plays each and a plus money play last year. Each week, we're shortening that down a little bit. We're only going to pick 3 this time around. We're going to do that throughout the year, each week for y'all. Come to y'all each week and pick 3 winners, hopefully, and then a plus money play at the end as well. We'll keep up with it, kind of update y'all each week how everybody did. And like I said last year, you can make money with us one way or another. We're either going to be really good and you can follow us and make some money, or in my case, really bad. If you told me last year, particularly the last half of it, you have made an absolute fortune. So hop on the money train, guys, because it is rolling through town now. But we'll go ahead and get started now, and I will get this thing kicked off. I am going back to my bread and butter here. Like I said, I didn't do really good in the power conferences, really good midweek, G5, stuff like that. So the first one I'm going to go with, I'm going to take the Jacksonville State Gamecocks -2.5 this weekend against Coastal Carolina. Jacksonville State was really good to me last year. Really like Rich Rod, especially at Jacksonville State. He really had them rolling good last year. I know they don't have Chris Hardy on that defensive line, which is such a big part of that team. He is now in Oxford, Mississippi, so I will take that trade out right there. But really like Rich Rod and what he's got going there at Jacksonville State. I think they're going to be really good again. And I'm getting this under a field goal. I saw it was 3.5 in some places. I was able to lock it in today on Wednesday at 2.5. At -123. So I'm going ahead and putting that bet in for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think so. We may hear
from
that one again.
Rich Rod is he's proven that he can run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
did it a lot.
That offense is
especially at that lower level.
He did really well last year. A program that's just making it up.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, Rich Rod's done a good job. His first season in a tough school like that, especially coming into FBS, I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year.
Yeah, and I think Coastal takes a step back too, right? You don't have Grayson McCall there after his 15 years of eligibility. Now he was still able to get one. He transferred out of there, but he is no longer there at Coastal running the show. So I like Jacksonville State to take care of business, and quite frankly, pretty handily. That was the first one I saw, and I jumped all over it when I saw it was under a field goal. So on to you, Hitch.
Yeah, that's a good one. And we'll just stay right there with that game, because it wouldn't be me if we didn't come out and talk about some totals. And so right off the bat, I'm the over guy. So I'm gonna hit you first bet of the year. I'm gonna hit you with an under 54.5 here in this game. I was talking to Chad before you got on here, Dids, and he was asking me kind of how I came up with some of these picks. And what I really did was just look at the total returning production. There's a stat that you can find. It's called TARP, transfer activity and returning production is what it stands for. When I got to look at it, Coastal, right? Coastal is at a -9 net, -5 on offense, -4 on defense. It's on a scale of like 0 to -12, I think. So basically, it's just saying they lost a lot of key players that were going to get playing time, whether they graduated or transferred, and didn't replace those with key players from other schools or through recruiting. So, and Jacksonville State has a bad number too. Their number is -8, but I think that plays really well for an under because their offense that they lost is the big one. It's at -6. And then you've got the defense. It's almost a positive number, which would be great. It's at -2. So you can throw all of that stuff together. You said it, Chad, about running the ball. They're a run first offense. I think if they can sustain a couple of drives, keep the clock moving. And then, Jacksonville State returns almost 60% of the production from the defense that gave up only 21 points per game last year. So Grayson McCall's gone. I think there is a competition there at Coastal for quarterback. And so I think they have a lack of depth at wide receiver. They're going to have a hard time scoring on this Jacksonville State defense. And I think the under is a good bet here, 54.5.
I like it too. That was one of my suggestions from my 2 rhythm models as well. They both like the under at 54.5. So that's one I'm also keeping an eye on. It is constantly going down. I checked it before we hopped on. It was already down to 54. So if that's one we're going to lock in, I think mine have it ending somewhere around like 51, 52. So there's still, some value there even at 54. But yeah, that's one I like to do for all the reasons you said, especially with new clock rules. The clock isn't stopping really ever right now unless you're taking a timeout or get under 2 minutes and a half. And all of the running the ball you're going to see out of Jacksonville State, and I assume Coastal Carolina too. They're traditionally a run heavy team themselves.
Well, they're real heavy tempo, right? And so
in
previous years, you looked at Coastal and you've been like, well, that's an over because they're such high tempo. But I think with Grayson McCall had been there for so long, taking so many snaps, they've got a couple of new guys at quarterback, and it may take, 3 or 4 offensive sets to get into the rhythm of that tempo in game situations. And that's enough right there for an under to hit. Coastal may score some points, but it probably won't be really quickly like they have. And I don't imagine they will hit many big plays like they're used to either, but because I think the strength of the Jacksonville State defense that they retained are those defensive backs. So I like the under.
Great.
All right. Well, for my first pick, so I'm going to go to the Big Ten. I like Northwestern under a field goal against Miami of Ohio. It's going to be a slugfest. Both defenses are pretty good. I just like the bigger school at home, but also Northwestern returns more defensive production than anyone else in the country. So 88% of their defensive production from last year returns. They had a interim last year, right? Fitzgerald got fired, and they ended up hiring their interim full time, right? Because of how well they played in such a tough situation. I like them to continue that, right? It's not like it's a major school that they're playing. I do think it'll be close for a little while because Miami of Ohio's defense is pretty good too. But give me the major team at home under a field goal. I did get it at slightly worse odds. I got it at 117. But yeah, Northwestern -2.5, -117. That's my first play.
Okay. -2.5 at -117. This was one that I was also looking at, Chad, but I was looking at the other side of it. This one I was looking for potentially as my plus money play. I'm showing Miami of Ohio. It's more of a 0.5 point, 1 point game according to what I'm looking at with models that I have. But again, all of your reasoning is completely sound. The bigger school at home, you're under a field goal. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. It's one that I decided just to completely stay away from, though, but because I'm assuming that with all the factors involved with the rhythm models and all that, that they probably just know a little bit more about Miami of Ohio than I do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that.
It's going to be an ugly game. I don't think it's going to. It's going to be one of those games that can go either way, just considering the matchups.
Yeah, I love the logic of the big school at home under a field goal.
Yeah, I do too. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, my second pick is going to be
and that's largely what led that decision.
Yeah, the biggest discrepancy in all of my models was the North Carolina State Western Carolina game right here. Under 61. I'm following Hitch's lead here. I'm going to take an under in week 1 as well. I've got this landing somewhere around 52 to 53. So I'm showing a huge variance here. Even my other model has it under by a couple of points as well. So I know NC State's supposed to be really, really good. I don't know anything about Western Carolina, quite frankly, so I don't have a lot to add to that. But I assume they're not very good. But for this number to be as high as it is, if you're talking about getting, again, with the way the clock moves now, Florida State and Georgia Tech had a total of 14 possessions in the entire game, right? So if you say you get 3 or 4 stops combined in the entire game, it's really hard to get up to that number of 61. You're really going to have to start piling it on there later on in the game to get there. So I'm going to take the under 61 just because it seems to be such a huge number.
Yeah, that's where Grayson McCall went, right? NC State?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting after this first week to see what the trends over and under are going to be.
Yeah, it is. With all the different changes in the clock and all of that, that's going to be the interesting part of it.
I read something Saturday, I guess, and it was talking about how for the past 8 years, maybe, that unders are totals are trending under. Like pretty consistently for the past few years.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it some last year because last year was the first year of the running clock. They didn't have the 2-minute warning and all of that, obviously, but we were talking about how interesting it would be how totals ended up falling because is Vegas going to adjust enough to those new rules to bring those totals down? Because I know I was looking at taking unders earlier in the year thinking they wouldn't be able to adjust enough. And it looked like they did, and almost to an overcorrection standpoint. But later on in the year, that's when you were able to start getting your unders to hit. So it'll be interesting to see if they adjust once more this year, which I'm sure they will. They're not in the business of losing money over there.
Yeah, they always do. All right, me.
So, all right, Mitch.
My second one. This one was interesting to me, kind of almost for the same reason as what Chet. Do y'all hear that in the background? Is that me or is that?
I have no idea.
Okay,
y'all don't hear anything.
It's my speakers. Okay, it's fine. Chad got to talking about how his pick was returning 88% of the production on defense, and so I've got another one that's kind of like that. I like Stanford. Plus 9.5 against TCU at home. Kind of for that reason that Chad was talking about. Stanford is not only returning a high number on defense at 80% of their defensive production, but they're also returning 85% of their offensive production on that side of the ball. And so the biggest hit to the TCU defense is in the secondary. They return only 2 starters, and the rest of it is made up of transfers from Tulsa, Old Dominion, and Austin Peay. Right. Stanford is returning 99% of its passing production and 76% of its receiving production. And so I think that they'll probably have a pretty good day against that TCU secondary. I think that they'll be able to keep it within this point total, right? They'll be able to keep it within 10 points at home with all of the returning experience and production that they have. And with TCU, I didn't mention it, but they lost their tarps at -3.5. And so, they had guys go their own way, and with them not returning a whole lot on the offensive side of the ball, I think Stanford will be able to keep it within. I don't think TCU is going to run away with it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I've seen that line going up and down. I like. I've seen it go up to 10. Right. I wish that half point was there, just because Stanford has been so poor, especially on offensive late. But no, you got to think at some point Stanford is going to turn things around, especially, coach that they have. Last year was his first year. They went to Colorado and won. They've been better than they were in the last few years with Shaw. So hopefully they can improve a little bit more. But yeah, that's going to be interesting considering how poor Stanford has been the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's based solely on returning production. Like I said, when I looked at it, this was one of the biggest discrepancies of returning production versus the players that were leaving. And then when you get to looking at it, like Chad said, the new coach, I can't even think of his name right now, but I've read it 100 times today. But he does come in, and they do have a football program is like a cruise liner, right? You can't just flip it around, and so hopefully Stanford is making that big turn, and they may not win this game at home, they probably won't, but keep it within 10, and that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
All right, Chad, what's your second pick?
So my second pick is going to be a big spread. I'm going to take one of the new SEC teams. I'm going to take Oklahoma -42. So it's a big spread, but Temple stinks. They're terrible. They've been terrible. I'm going to get a little narrative-y here. Brent Venables did not have a great season last year. I think that he's got to make some impact this year, this first season in the SEC. I think that he's going to come out. They're going to put points on the board going away. They lost a lot of their offensive production from last season, but obviously with these big schools, they're going to have transfers upon transfers. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. And like I said, Temple has consistently been one of the worst teams in the country the last couple of seasons. Home game, first game as an SEC team. I'm comfortable with 42. So give me the Sooners at home in Norman against Temple.
Yeah. I don't have anything to go against. We've got the new quarterback, Jackson Arnold, starting off his Oklahoma career. I know he played a little bit last year, but I feel like they're going to want to get him comfortable as well in this first game before they start getting. Because if I'm not mistaken, in week 3 is when they welcome Tennessee to Norman. So they've only got a couple weeks here to get him ready and get some confidence more than anything before the Volunteers roll in there for their first ever SEC game as a member of this conference. So I don't hate that pick again, it is narratively, but I like the thought process behind it, though, because I do think they're going to try to get things going. New offensive coordinator, obviously, with Levy down at Mississippi State. A lot of continuity issues that need to get figured out in these first couple of weeks, so you can't worry about how badly you're beating somebody. If you're rolling, foot's on the gas, and you're going 80 miles an hour, you got to try to get up to 85 at that point, because you got to keep this thing rolling, because that schedule is brutal after week 2.
Yeah, and I mean, quite frankly, you're coming into the SEC, and it's not your first SEC game, but it is your first game in the SEC, and you want to curb stomp somebody, right? Like you want to beat them and to show, hey, we can do this too. And so, I don't love big spreads, Chad. You know that, but like, I mean, this is who you gonna take? You gonna take Temple in this one? No, right?
No chance.
Right, exactly. If this game's under 35 points, then Oklahoma's not having a great first game.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it should be 35-0 if it's under 35 points, right? Like I don't know that maybe Temple scores, races one at the end and whatever, but this is more of like a 63-7 game should be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, 100% agree. So, all right. So I'm also going with the big spread with my third and final pick here, but I'm going the opposite way here. I'm going to take a big underdog here. New Mexico is plus 30.5 against Arizona this here in week 1. And I know Arizona has this incredible offense. They're, foot on the gas, good quarterback, really good receiver out there too. They're looking to make a statement in the Big 12 as well. They have also swapped conferences. I watched New Mexico though this past week. I wasn't entirely unimpressed by them. Like they're not great. There's absolutely no way that they're going to win this game. But if you're going to give me basically 31 points, I like them to hang in this thing for at least a little bit and keep it, a 24 to 28 point game, something like that by the time it's all said and done. I've got it falling somewhere around 24 to 25. So if you're going to give me a, 6.5 to 5.5 point value on this, then I'm going to go ahead and take that. So I'm going to take New Mexico here at plus 30.5. Minus 30.5, I would take Arizona. But plus 30.5, I'm taking New Mexico.
Yeah.
I just don't like the big spread. It's kind of like y'all talked about a second ago.
But I know that when y'all were watching Saturday, that game, was it New Mexico and who were they playing? Montana State or
Montana State.
Whoever they were playing. Right. Y'all were looking at Devin Dampier for New Mexico, and y'all were like, I bet Hitch loves this dude because he's perfect. I love him. He reminded me of the Granger kid from Georgia, whatever, Southern or State last year.
Danny Granger from New Mexico?
Yeah. Man, I hate you sometimes. No. But he moves, he can throw it. He's very careful with the ball. And man, I know I told you the night before that I was going to be on this one. I just didn't get to it before I found 3 games I liked. But I love this one because I think just him as a quarterback can make enough plays to keep them within 30 points.
He's got a lot of Pavia in he, doesn't he? The new Vanderbilt quarterback transferred in. He feels like he's got a lot of that.
Yeah, he's athletic. He can move. He's good. He's a little on the small side, but I think, like I said, with him and what I saw last week, I think they keep him within 30. Hopefully.
Yeah, I do too. So
maybe hopefully not.
What you got?
All right, last one here. I think I was on this game last year, and I think the spread was the exact same at UNLV Houston. Week 1, and it was 2.5. I think I remember taking this one. Houston's best weapon on offense is their quarterback, Donovan Smith. But their passing offense last year, they're coming off a year where they finished 113th the UNLV defense finished 113th in passing defense last year. But with Willie Fritz kind of being run first heavy, he comes over from Tulane. He runs the ball a lot on offense, and the UNLV secondary has really improved with the transfer portal. I think Houston may find it difficult and may get stagnant on offense if they can't get their running game going. And then on the other side of the ball, Houston, they only have one player returning that started 8 games or more. And that defense last year was 117th in defending the pass. So while UNLV has probably some quarterback questions, I think they've listed 3 starters on their depth chart. A couple of them are, from FCS. I think one of the kid from Holy Cross last year that was FCS Player of the Year or whatever, he's over here, or he's with UNLV now. But their receiving core is really deep, and I think they're going to torch the Houston secondary. And so give me UNLV plus 2.5.
Okay. Didn't see that one coming. Barry Odom did a really good job last year there at UNLV, though they had that quarterback that was he was a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. I guess he's transferred out or whatever. I'm not sure where he ended up going, but they did a really good job there. They were able to retain the offensive coordinator, though. There was a big push for him to go to one of these power conference schools. I can't remember which one it was. That was back during the offseason. They were able to retain him. So you got to think that he's going to be able to make something work with whoever they end up choosing here at quarterback. And we all know that Barry Odom is an absolute genius on the defensive side of the ball. We saw it at Missouri for all those years. You saw it at Arkansas there for a couple of years as well. And kind of like you, I'm not sold on Houston. This is a program that's gone down the last few years. I do like Willie Fritz. He did a really good job at Tulane, but he's still going to have to get players in there to run the kind of system and the kind of program that he wants to run. So I could see this being a bit of a struggle here for Houston. So I don't hate that pick with UNLV.
And I messed up the first point. What I was trying to say is that Houston's best player is their quarterback, Donovan Smith, right? He throws the ball really well. He's getting looked at by the NFL and maybe in the first round, right? And then on the other side, UNLV's defense last year was terrible against the pass. But I think you can almost not throw that out, but with Willie Fritz being so rush heavy, right, I think that it may be difficult for that quarterback to get into a rhythm. I think he also lost his top 2 receiving targets as well to the portal. And so one of the things that stuck out about Donovan Smith was that he's resilient. He led them back from 20-point deficits a couple of times last year, right? If that is the case against UNLV, there won't be any coming back, right? Because UNLV is just going to keep putting points on the board, and Houston's going to have to keep pace. And I don't know. I don't love that it is at Houston, but I think that you have a program. I think UNLV won 9 games last year. That I don't know that going on the road is going to hurt them as much as it may be somebody else with this offense. So UNLV plus 2.5, I'll take it.
Makes sense.
Okay, so
on you, Chad.
My last one is another team that is potentially offensively challenged. Give me Sam Houston against Rice plus 10. So,
I looked at this.
I got that kind of late, by the way. But look, it's not a traditional rivalry game, but Sam Houston is in the Houston area. Rice is in the Houston area. If you look at Sam Houston's schedule from last year, their offense was terrible. But as the season progressed, they started winning more games. It's still a new program at the FBS level. Rice, they had, I think the quarterback was injured a lot last year. Concussions, kid that transferred from Tennessee. But this is strictly, I think it's too many. Rice, I don't think Sam Houston is near as bad as they were last year. It's going to be a little bit of a rivalry game, at least from the Sam Houston side, I would think, since Rice is right in the backyard. That's really all I have to it. Give me Sam Houston plus 10. Give me points. I think that's too many. I had the game around a touchdown. So
Yeah. This one I was looking at as well to put on my sheet to be one of my 3 picks this week. I actually looked at Sam Houston. They were one of my finalists for being my plus money play. I was going to take them on the money line to win outright here. I really like everything that you said there with Sam Houston. I just don't have faith that Rice is going to be able to keep up with them, right? Sam Houston has this history of these high prolific offenses. They're getting into the FBS level now. So there is a transition period there but they're one of the better lower level schools that are coming up into the FBS now. I think last year was their transition year. Is that right, Chad, or was it this year being it? Yeah, last year. Okay, so but Sam Houston was one of my plus money plays. I looked at them on the money line to win outright. So I absolutely love plus 10. I can tell you for a fact they will be one of the teams that I bet on come game time.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. So all right, we'll go ahead and get into our plus money plays here now. Like I said, I looked at Sam Houston State and Rice. Really liked Sam Houston State there, but I ended up going in a different direction. I'm going to take the West Virginia Mountaineers at plus 242 on the money line against Penn State. And the reasoning behind that, Troy Brown there at West Virginia has really gotten them rolling. They had a really good end of the season last year, a lot of momentum, right? A lot of people like them as a sleeper team in the Big 12 to come out of that league. And as an Ole Miss fan, I got a real good look at Drew Aller last year, not just in the bowl game, but during the season as well. I've watched a lot of Penn State throughout the year. I'm not a Drew Aller believer. I don't understand all the hype with him. They don't protect him well enough, and when they do, he doesn't make the throws that he needs to make. I don't think Penn State's going to be able to keep up with West Virginia here. They're going to put up too many points. Even though Penn State has a good defense, they always have a good defense. But give me the Mountaineers to win outright at plus 242 here on the money line.
This was one of those plays where I looked at the other side. I couldn't pull the trigger because I don't trust Drew Aller as well. He stunk this year in big games. And like you said, it wasn't in Morgantown. Obviously, the spread wouldn't be 8 either, but it was because it was in Morgantown that I did not end up on Penn State. Now that you're taking the Mountaineers straight up, I'm glad I didn't go there right anyway.
Yep. All right, Hitch.
Yeah, I know you stole mine.
That's all right. You can bet it too, man. That's fine. Just double down.
I don't want to now though. It's tainted.
Do mine if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So money line parlay. 2 games.
Oh. Okay.
2 games involving SEC teams.
Okay.
I know which one it has.
Florida Gators outright against Miami.
I was looking at that one too.
And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in College Station.
Oh.
Moneyline parlay, half a unit. I believe I've got it's like 4.15 or something. I'll have to get the exact numbers to you, dudes. But yeah, I think Florida has been buried way too soon. Billy Napier's back's against the wall. He's still a good coach. We haven't seen that in games thus far. We know Mario Cristobal, when the big game's here, he's going to find some way to screw it up. Yeah, they've got Cam Ward. He's a really good quarterback. But he's also got to go to the swamp. This is a rivalry game. It's going to be loud. It's going to be fiery in Gainesville. Now, on the other end of that, on the other side of that coin, with Texas A&M and Notre Dame, I just think Notre Dame, they've got a coach in his second season. You've got Elko in his first season. They're going to have a lot of talent. I don't like this the more I look at it, but I've already made the play. I think A&M's going to be good this year. I like Elko as a coach. But I think Notre Dame is going to be seasoned enough to be able to pull out a win in College Station.
Okay. So I actually hate both of these picks. I like Miami to win, and I like Texas A&M to win this weekend. I really like Ward there at Miami, kind of like you mentioned. He's a really good quarterback. He can make plays. I'm just not a believer in Florida. Hitch has heard me talk about it for 2 months now, how much I just can't get on board with that team. They have such a tough year ahead of them with a lot of pressure on them to not only win, but they need to win early if they're going to have any shot whatsoever of saving this season, which, again, that could also go to your point of there is, more of a sense of urgency. Maybe they come out firing a little bit earlier. But I actually like Miami to go win that game, and I love Texas A&M to take care of Notre Dame in College Station. I think you get the better coach in Mike Elko. I think you get a much better quarterback in Connor Weigman. I'm a big Connor Weigman fan. I've been a fan of his since his true freshman year when he made his first start in Oxford, Mississippi. And if he wouldn't have gotten hurt last year, I think people would have taken more of a liking to him if he wouldn't have been hurt for the last part of it there. Notre Dame has lost their All-American left tackle. Obviously, he's not playing this year due to injury. I still think A&M has a ton of talent, especially on that defensive line. That's what everybody keeps talking about with them. If this team's going to go, it's going to be because of that defensive line. They're going to carry that defensive unit there. So give me what is supposed to be a really good defensive line against a beat-up offensive line. And look, if you don't think Mike Elko has a plan for Riley, the Notre Dame quarterback that transferred from Duke, I think he knows exactly what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, and I think being a defensive mind, he's going to be able to throw things at him that he's not expecting to throw him off his game. I love A&M in this game. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, Jack pick. So you just
yeah, I don't hate the Florida pick. I like Miami to win that game, not only because of Cam Ward, but I think they also got the Martinez kid from Oregon State to be the running back there, and so I think it's going to be a pretty good 1-2 punch. On the other hand, I kind of like Notre Dame, and it may be coming off of a Texas A&M hangover of just hating them for so long because of Jimbo Fisher being there and how weird they are and stuff. But for everything that I'm reading and seeing, I mean, Notre Dame is for real, and they've got to run that schedule, and so this is a big game for them. They know that if they go in and punch an SEC team that's ranked 20th in the mouth, that's going to say something to the voters all year long. They can always look back and say, well, I mean, Notre Dame did beat a top 20 Texas A&M team. I could get on board with that one. For mine, I guess I really liked the one that you had, Dids. I was going to go for a lot of the same reasons. One of the main ones being, as an Ole Miss fan, I've seen Aller play, and he is not good.
He's not good.
So and West Virginia also returns like a ridiculous amount of weapons on offense. It's like 98% of their offensive production returns or something crazy. But anyway, looking down the list, I'm going to go with the Vanderbilt Commodores, right? At home against Virginia Tech. They're plus 13.5. Wow. The money line is plus 410. I think that they have some players that can play. And Virginia Tech last year wasn't great. They went to a bowl game. They played Tulane. I don't know. Let's take a chance. I don't have a whole lot backing it up, but let's take a chance on Vanderbilt. Plus 410.
Well, what Vanderbilt does have, which is really all you need, Hitch, is they've got Diego Pavia back there playing quarterback for them. That's a guy me and you rode all year long last year, so he has made his way to the SEC. It's time for him to show out.
That factored into this play as well.
Right? Yeah. Jerry Kill's a consultant there now, right? But I will say this. Yeah. We talked about returning production a lot. The number one team, looking at my notes here, the number one team in returning production is Virginia Tech.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I didn't even look at
95% of their offensive production from last year.
They're supposed to be really good.
The Hokie offense was not something that is lighting up the scoreboard, but that's going to be tough for them. I like Virginia Tech a lot for the season. I think they're going to be a better team in the SEC overall.
Looking back on it, I probably should have researched more than one plus money pick.
But just stick with your plus money pick that Dids went with, right? Nobody's holding.
No, I don't want his tainted pick, right? Like you heard him at the beginning of the show. You heard him at the beginning of the show. G5 and midweek, right?
Yeah. I did hear that.
I did. That doesn't sound G5.
No, that's the only one that didn't involve at least one G5 team at least. I went off the board on that one.
I did.
Yeah, that one's on me. So, all right, guys. Well, we will go ahead and wrap it up there. We will obviously track these, as I said, throughout the season. We'll update y'all each and every week on how we did, so y'all can see who is winning bets, why I'm losing bets, and we can kind of try to adjust from there as the season goes on. But really excited to get this going back again, though. It was always one of my favorite shows of the year. As we recorded throughout last football season, it was a lot of fun. So, except for hearing Chad talk crap to me the entire week. And not even on here every week. He was texting it to me all day Saturday, every time one of mine would eventually lose. So, but that's okay. I did kind of miss it. So I look forward to even that happening again. So appreciate y'all tuning in, though. Obviously, Hitch, as you are every single time here. Chad, appreciate you being back. And can't wait to talk to you again next week, bud.
See you, boys. Enjoyed it.
See y'all.
All right. Hi, Toddy.
See y'all.